Well, just in case you thought that road testing bikes was a glamorous job, it does rain, and it's raining here today at Donington of all places, and this is for the launch of the Honda Hornet. There's 160 bikes here and 160 dealers. Shortly we've got to assemble for a Le Mans type start on the start-finish straight, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes. Riding the Hornet, like most unfaired bikes, reminds you of the agony and the ecstasy of bike riding. The agony in combating wind and rain is the best disincentive I know against travelling at highly illegal speeds, while the ecstasy comes from feeling that same wind tugging at you as you blast a space through the air. Back to basics in a way, but not too basic. This is, after all, a Honda. It's got 4 cylinders, 92 brake horse, and the tyres from a Fireblade. So basic it's not, but fun it is. So just what you get with your Hornet. For a start off, you get Fireblade sized tyres front and rear. Pretty hefty for a bike of this size, but nevertheless makes you feel nice and secure. You've got CBR6 front brake discs. Same goes for the calipers. They've got slightly softer pads in them, but that's just to give you more feel. Forks, pretty ordinary, non-adjustable, but they're doing the job after all. One of the most interesting parts is this frame, not a perimeter frame like on the CBR6, but a box section spine frame. You can just see some outriggers here to the top of the engine, and then the centre one from the headstock runs straight down under the tank, under the seat, right to the tail. Now the engine, of course, is the heart of any bike, and this is no exception. You don't normally see this engine exposed to the elements because normally it's under a CBR with all the glass fibre around it. But this is it, very nice paint finish on it, make it look prettier. Lots of little nooks and crannies to clean though, so that's going to be difficult for you. But anyway, basically the same engine. It has been slightly detuned by a couple of brake horsepower, and they've also increased the torque lower down. And one of the ways they've done this is with slightly smaller carburetors, just a couple of millimetres down from the normal CBR, and also a very fancy exhaust system here. It's a 4x2x1, swept up at the tail there. Got little balancing pipes in between the down pipes, and also it's got an air injection system into the exhaust ports. This is really not so much for efficiency, but it's to improve emissions, or rather, when I say improve emissions, reduce the emissions, which is all important these days, and it's something they've had on the Swiss bikes for some time. It hasn't got any bodywork, but it has got some nice styling touches, one of which is this very bulbous tank here, and it's where Honda got the name for the Hornet from. It looks like the sort of swelled out body of a little stinging Hornet. But if those are the cosmetics, it's got some other nice touches mechanically on this, especially in the chassis. Down here on the swinging arm, this is basically off the 250 Hornet, which is only available in Japan or as a grey import, but it's been beefed up somewhat. Pivots from these plates back here, sandwiched up with the main spine frame down the bottom, and it's got a single monoshock down inside. Slightly different to the CBR because it hasn't got the linkage. It's mounted direct off the swing arm there, but it works well enough, and that's adjustable in 7 stages for preload. No adjustment for shock absorbing, but nevertheless the spring preload on it. And while we're down here looking at the back of the bike, you've got this massive Fireblade tyre and wheel. This is a 180 section back tyre, straight off the blade. It's not that the Hornet's got all that much power to use, but it does give you more stability. And also, let's be honest, it gives you sexy looks. Well, I've been out on the track, but this bike, let's face it, in the main is going to be used on the roads. So let's go and see how it performs on the road. The riding position is fairly aggressive, with flattish bars and a low seat height of just 790mm and low weight of 176 kg. It's lower and lighter than its swoopy brother, the CBR 600, and before riding it I thought it might be too small for my 6'2" frame, but it felt nice, really friendly and chuckable. The 6-speed gearbox is a bit clunky, but it does the business in keeping the motor spinning up to its 12,000 rev limit. The engine is virtually the same as the CBR, but has been rejigged to produce more torque lower down the rev range, which is probably where most Hornets will spend their lives. But having said that, if you want to give yourself an adrenaline rush, just open it up and, well, buzz off. Its steel spine frame might appear low-tech, but so what? It delivers the goods. It's 10 kilos lighter than the CBR, the wheelbase is a tad longer too, and with those big fat Fireblade tyres keeping you in touch with the tarmac, handling is light and road holding excellent, especially in the wet. and this is despite fairly ordinary suspension by sports bike standards. Brakes are straight from the CBR6 but have softer pads to give a bit more feel and are well suited to the Hornet. Again, very welcome in wet weather. Styling wise, I like it. It's got some nice touches such as the tucked in, tucked up exhaust and the white faced instruments. But does the Hornet cut it in the street bike, bandit, monster, phaser, street fighter battle? Yes it does. It's well made, it's beautifully finished and the high level exhaust even puts a sting in its tail. But what it all comes down to, like most bikes these days, is personal preference. You pays your money and you takes your choice. Priced at £4,995, this latest addition to the street bike class is bound to cause a stir. But like any Hornet buzzing around in a crowd, that shouldn't be a surprise.